So this video is for the blue group that will be working together, and you will be working on this project and using the simulation to look. We're going to be looking at Greg's traits. We're going to be looking at Greg's traits. Greg, as you know, is a Darwin bark spider, and we're going to be clicking on his profile and looking at what color his stripes are, what gene versions he has, and looking at whether he has protein molecule version 1, 2, or 3. So let's get to it, folks. And you should already be here. So we're focusing on Greg only. We're looking at his traits as well as his gene version codes. And as we see here, we are looking at traits for Greg. Greg has red stripes. Red stripes, that's all we're focusing on. And we're also looking at his gene code, which is T1T1. That is this version here. So all we see for Greg are these pink looking shapes, and they all look the same. None look different. And they are what create his pigmentation. They produce these red cells, which give him the red stripe color. And who is in charge of the instructions? Well, the gene versions are. The gene versions. And that is what we will write down. As far as informations go, we have the trait for the stripe color is red. We know that his stripe color is red. His gene versions, let's click back, are T1T1. T1T1. And as far as proteins go, he has this protein here. So it's protein number 1, and we'll even add what they look like. Kind of an odd shape. And it says here, add the proteins shown in the left column below, one protein at a time. And we're going to observe the changes to Greg's traits and genes for stripe color. So what we're going to do is we're going to add protein number 2. And then we're going to see what color stripe Greg changes to. Right now he has red. What happens if we add protein molecule number 2 to Greg's cells? Will the gene versions even change is the question. So let's change Greg's genes to a T2, a protein number 2. All right, so we just changed it, and it looks like Greg's stripe colors have changed to purple. His pigmentation has changed. He is now producing purple. You see blue and red proteins floating around. If we add those two primary colors, blue and red, do we get purple? Yeah, so now we have these two proteins floating around. And as you see, they are connecting. and working together, and they are being produced by the ribosomes. Ribosomes get the information. They get messages from the nucleus, messenger RNAs. They get the information and they change the pigmentation. They create different protein molecules. So that's the information. Trait for the stripe color, what color? We have purple now. Did the gene version change? Absolutely. So we have T1 and T2. So the gene versions T1 and T2 change the stripe colors for Greg. Right. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change this T2, we're going to change it to T3 and find out what happens. This is pretty fun. So protein number 3, we're going to change that. And let's see what we come up with, folks. Can any of you make predictions? So T3 changed the protein molecule. This protein molecule here changed the pigmentation to black. So we always have red, right, with T1. T1 gives it that red pigmentation. And if we mix red with black, black wins. Black will win, and because it is more of a dominant color. And that is why we have Greg's trait for stripe color as black now, with a T1, T3 code, genetic code. So let's plug that information in, plug the data into our table. With protein 3, we now have a black stripe color. Did the gene versions change? Yes, they did. They are now T1 and T3. And as far as information go, once you added the proteins, what happened after a period of time lapsed? Well, once we added protein 2, once we changed the genetic code to T2, or protein number 2, the protein molecules over time changed the stripe color to purple, which would be T1, T2. Working in the sim, change Greg's genes so that his stripe color is purple. What gene versions result in the purple stripe color? And that's a pretty that's here we go. T1, T2. We are getting purple, right? And with T1, T3, we are getting black. That's just a bit more information that they asked for. So that is the information that we plugged in, and let's now we will pause there. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to answer these questions here on page 88. Okay. And these are questions for page 88 for the SIM group. And once you collaborate and come together to answer these questions, I'd like for you to report back to the group as a whole.